Okay, so a lot of questions remain, and to unpack all of this, we welcome Travis Tygart. He is the longtime head of the U.S. Anti-Doping Agency. And Travis, so we've heard from the WADA committee, chaired by the British attorney Jonathan Taylor. What is the next step for the full body of WADA?
So the next step on December 9th, the WADA Executive Committee is going to decide whether to reject or accept the recommendation from what you just mentioned, Jonathan Taylor's committee. A lot of people are hoping they actually reject it and make it stronger, because what has been recommended at this point is eerily similar to the same thing the IOC did before the 2016 Rio Games and the 2018 Pyeongchang Games. And what we've seen is those simply aren't enough to change the behavior in Russia to ensure that clean athletes are going to be supported.
And Travis, what was that? What was the nature of the punishment last time?
Essentially, they allowed them to compete in Pyeongchang, for example, under a neutral flag, but Russia had a full delegation. And it was really kind of a charade, quite honestly, and it was seen that way around the world. And obviously, it didn't do enough when, in the situation we're talking about now, about the manipulated data, where they had an agreement. And then within months of that agreement, the Russians are secretly, literally behind the backs of the World Olympic community, altering the data to cover up 140 plus positive tests on very athletes that could be competing in those games. So enough is enough, and it's time to draw a line in the sand. And let's hope the WADA Executive Committee finally puts in the consequences that this is called for. The robbery of hundreds of medals around the world, and the tainting now going on our fifth Olympic Games, unfortunately.
So, Travis, why doesn't Thomas Bach, who runs the International Olympic Committee and has done for some time, why doesn't he see it that way? Why does he still believe in this model where you punish the country, its flag isn't there, the anthem isn't played, but the athletes who are not specifically alleged to have partaken in doping, they get to compete as neutrals?
Nobody. The Olympics is about inclusion, and nobody wants to keep any country or any athletes from any country out of the games. And we certainly supported in 2016 the ban on Russia, but allowing a process for truly clean athletes if they could prove they were clean from Russia. But look, this is now the third opportunity. And clearly that solution was a compromise and was not enough to send the kind of message that we have to have for the cultural change in Russia to ensure that they abide by the Olympic Games, and that clean athletes going forward, whether in Russia who are being abused by this system or around the world who are being robbed by this system, that their rights are held, and they're the priority in this analysis, not the state of Russia, unfortunately.
Travis, we have only a few seconds remaining, but I should note that Yuri Ganis, your counterpart in Russia, the head of their anti-doping agency, said yesterday that he thought the committee's report made sense. He supports their decision. He sees no basis for an appeal to the Court of Arbitration for Sport. Is this strategic, or is this a rare example of true honesty in the world of anti-doping, or doping, I should say?
Well, and I would say in Russia, right? I mean, let's hope that he's being honest and has the authority to make the decision and accepts this outcome. And maybe he's fearful that it could actually be worse and that all of their athletes are kept out of the games if he doesn't make that decision. But we got to believe there's a lot of strategy going on here. And certainly one of his best defenses when he shows up at the Court of Arbitration for Sport is to say that I had nothing to do with this. I agree with you, but you can't possibly punish those people for something that I had nothing to do with. And so there may be a strategic defense element to this. We'll just have to see. In the moment of
Travis, I'm afraid we're running out of time. Travis, we really appreciate your joining us to discuss the situation with Russia. Travis Tygart, the longtime head of USADA.
Thank you for watching ESPN on YouTube. For more sports, highlights, and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.